You're locked on to Jyneration Nation. Happy Friday to you. I hope you survived without getting fingers blown off. And I am joined by Garrett Sorenson. Garrett, what do you think about that intro right there that you just heard?
I think that intro is fire.
Fire! You know, that's my Beverly McClellan at the beginning saying she
God.
thinks I have skills.
She's so Jyn. She's so in the Jyn flow.
She is. I've got all kinds of like voiceover stuff from her that I love to just insert randomly.
Awesome, man.
So I'm so excited to have you in the studio, and it's the Friday after the 4th of July, or I guess some people are probably still on vacation right now.
Hungover.
Did you shoot off fireworks last night with the kids?
We did. We shot off fireworks, but it was like the low-key. We were the low-key firework family.
Oh, yeah?
Because last year I almost blew my poor daughter up.
Elsa?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Dude.
What do you mean by that?
I was a victim of fate, is what happened. I lit this. It was called a missile, I guess, technically. Danger Boy told me to call it a missile.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's just funny.
Well, it was funny when she was okay. Anyway,
right.
The missile was lit,
Mm-hmm.
and then it fell on its side.
Oh, no.
And then it turned into like a Elsa-seeking missile. It like went straight at her.
It's like a bottle rocket.
And Elizabeth, like action movie, saved her from the missile.
Nice.
And then everyone in the family hated me for like 24 hours.
Oh, man.
So we went all Kroger fireworks. We were 100%.
You're just like the
Kroger
little
approved.
smoke bombs and the ones that turn into snakes.
Fountains.
Yeah. No TNT cherry bombs or M80s or any of that good
No.
stuff.
No.
Yeah. You know, when I was a kid, we would actually shoot those at people.
Dude.
I mean, we would put them in a bottle and hold them right there and light them off and go, you know.
I think I've heard. I have not been to the ER on July 4th.
Yeah,
but
we're knocking on wood right now.
Yeah, but I've heard it's a really popular place.
You know, all the nurses that I've dated in the past, which has been several, have told me they do.
Nurses you've loved before.
Yeah, there's a few out there. I hope they're listening. Hi, nurses. we're just gonna have fun because we're like two kids when we talk. No, but the nurses always tell me that 4th of July full moons. You don't want to work the ER.
Full moons.
Yeah, full moons. That's when the crazy come out.
Keep the silver handy just in case someone's transforming.
I guess so. The bullet. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
But last night it was completely incident free, man.
Good.
We had lots of things that were shooting fountains and stuff, but nothing but happiness. No weirdness or.
Well, that's good because I will say I was down in my house editing audio in my basement, in my studio, and I kept hearing what I thought was something hitting the house. And I go upstairs, and there are, I mean, the huge fireworks going off next door, across the street, on all sides of me. It was like I was, if I've never been to war, but that's what I'm assuming it's going to feel like.
It does sound like a war zone. We were in our basement
basically
too.
Was.
Yeah, you can't get away from the booms.
In the sky, rather.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we heard it too.
And I'm one of those that walk out and I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty, but what about our environment? Like, I get a little pissy about the environment.
Interestingly, somebody did like a full report on that today in the local public radio. And they said that there were like, particulates. And we went over the federal, pollution thing. But it only lasted for like 2 hours and then it blew away.
Oh, right. So Americans don't care because it was just 2 hours.
It was just 2 hours.
We just blew up the sky and killed half of our, lung capacity for a little bit.
Just for a couple of hours. It's our
right.
America, duty.
Man. America, right. Anyway, but we appreciate those who fought for our freedom, and that's really what it's all about. And 4th of July, our independence, all that groovy stuff.
We did it, man.
Right.
We're free.
That's right. So, Garrett, you've got all kinds of cool stuff to talk about today. First off, I'm touching your Grammy right now.
Oh, my God.
I'm touching it.
He
has an actual Garrett. If you don't know, won a Grammy. Was it earlier this year, right?
Yeah. Was it this
year?
Yeah, it was this year.
Earlier this year, right? Yeah, and he, I bet fell out because I teach his kid on drums. Actually, I teach both of your children now.
That's right, Elsa. She's taking up the drums too, man. She's following in the Jyn footsteps. So now Jonah and Elsa. And Jonah's been at it for 5 years now.
Yeah,
and he's
Jonah,
getting good.
I tell you what, he's online when I post his videos. He's one of the crowd favorites. And I know this because when I walk around, places and people come up to me and say, I follow you on social media, they're always like, man, that Jonah kid, I love his videos.
Maybe that'll be his name, that Jonah kid.
That Jonah kid.
His drummer name.
He's got a great name, Jonah. I mean,
he's awesome. He's awesome.
He is awesome.
So proud.
And kudos to you and Elizabeth for, not only being musical yourself, but you're an entire musical family.
We're Von Trapp-esque. I wouldn't say that we would climb across the Swiss Alps and,
There's somebody peace signing us
Hey,
in the window.
peace.
Happy 4th, lady. I love that we broadcast live on East Broadway because people walk up and down the street all the time, and we have a big glass mirror. It's a big glass. It's not a mirror. It's
two-way.
big glass, right? Two-way glass.
Yeah.
And people always stop and, peace sign you and, give you a high five, and they see you on air,
Yeah, man, it's awesome. I did a gig with the Louisville Ballet, and they have their rehearsal studios on Main, and they have a big glass wall facing Main Street, and oh my goodness, you would not believe the people that will just stop and stare at the ballerina.
Well, yeah, everybody wants to see it. The old school radio stations all did that. You could walk up and down and look right in and see everybody broadcasting live.
Bro, they have a curtain. They have a discretion curtain that they have to pull sometimes. You guys may have to invest in that.
Yeah.
After this one.
Well, Garrett, we're going to take a short break, but we've got you in the studio from 2 to 4 p.m., and you've got all kinds of stuff. He does opera. He's won Grammys. He's he teaches LouisvilleVoiceLessons.com here. He teaches kids, so we're going to talk about that all throughout the next part of the hour. And I'm going to kick it off with some Aha, because you're a piano man.
Yes!
You got to love some Take On Me. We are Louisville's Rock Stream, and I am joined in the studio on Jyneration Nation by Garrett Sorenson. Garrett, you do literally everything.
No, that's not true.
He even tries to shoot his own kid with rockets, evidently. I'm totally joking.
There are literally people who do everything. I feel like I'm a jack of a few trades, but there are people who really do everything, and I'm not one of those dudes.
I hear you. I'm kind of a Jyn of all trades.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
yes.
A little bit of everything.
That's what I'm talking about. You can't say that.
Nothing too perfection. Maybe minus drums. I try to be really good at that.
You got to be really good at something.
Right, and you play piano.
So yeah, I mean,
and you do voice.
I didn't start out wanting to be an opera singer. I started out wanting to play piano.
Yeah,
really well. But I fell in love with it way too late, and my fat fingers, I just wasn't born to be a concert pianist. But that's one thing I love about teaching voice lessons is I get to play piano all day and accompany people all day, and all different kinds of music. People come in with pop and country and music theater and opera.
That's what I love about it too. I had Jeff McAllister, who is the drummer of the Monarchs and toured with everybody earlier. And he said the same thing. He said, you'll never know every piece of music because there's always something going to be thrown at you.
That's the thing. We were talking about that. There's some people will take 2 chords and turn it into a masterpiece.
Right.
And I'm a sucker for a major 3 chord or a flat 4 in the right place of a song. And there's literally a minor 4, sorry. There's literally no limit to the way that you can write that into a song and make it, tug at the strings of your heart. There's no limit.
Something that blew my mind, because I took piano lessons for a long time, and
awesome.
I obviously been in a pit in marching band. I'd play a lot of marimbas, and I did that in college as well. And over the years, all the theater pieces I've done, usually percussion, we have to read piano a little bit because you're going to have to do some pitch percussion. And usually we have a 3rd or 4th piano part, that they don't have enough people for that you have to fill in. I'm limited on my reading piano music. I can read really well, but I read really slow at melody lines and stuff. Drum set though, drums, percussion I can fly through, but
that's the thing. The stuff you've written out for Jonah and Elsa, the beats you've written out, we have down in our studio in the basement. I look at that and it's just what?
It's like a foreign language. It's totally different than most other, and reading drum set notation is different than reading snare drum notation too.
Boom.
Yeah, snare drum
Languages.
notation can be even more complicated, I feel like.
Yeah, totally different languages.
Yeah, but what I was going to say about the piano is when you're writing original stuff, the day that I learned that, there is no format to follow with keys or scales or anything. I mean, you can literally do anything you want and go anywhere you want. And I kind of loved David Bowie was great for that, in rock and roll. He would just go to some weird chords sometimes, and he'd be like, "No, I just kind of like this chord here." And there is no limits in music. That's what I love about it.
Well, and like you can even stay inside of traditional structures. Like we were talking about Willie Nelson before. He'd do kind of a country blues song, but going from 1 to 4, he wouldn't just go 1 to 4. He'd like go through these crazy jazz chords that were like beautiful and interesting and taking you to this place, and then slap you're on 4 and you're back into regular country style. Yeah. And you're like, man, this is so much more interesting.
I agree.
It's like walking through an old neighborhood, but everything's been renovated.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite stories growing up, I got to go to Lukenbach, Texas.
Oh.
And Willie and Waylon are famous for writing the song "Let's Go to Lukenbach, Texas" with Willie and Waylon and the boys. And it was a very small town. I forget what the population was, but it was literally like 20 people. And there was a post office and a shack there. Dang. And in the back of the shack is where all those guys would gather, and they'd sit there and write their songs.
That's crazy.
It was, yeah. And I got a little thing that says "Everybody's Somebody" in Lukenbach, Texas. It's on my fridge.
Yeah, if you're not somebody where you are, just keep traveling.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll get there.
Well, everybody's famous in a small town, so I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, man.
So did you grow up in Louisville, Garrett?
No, that's funny. I grew up in Lubbock, Texas, which is totally different from Lukenbach.
Yeah, Lubbock or leave it, man. Yeah, the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
I'm all about me some Lubbock.
Well, that's the thing. Like the Maines were they were like the backbone of the musical community.
Oh, I'm sure.
There.
Her father is one of the most famous steel guitar players ever known, and he's on every record they've done.
Well, and their influence is really strong in that community. I never got to be in any of their productions, but they have this Cactus Theater there, and they do like variety stuff, musicals, cabarets. I mean, I don't know if they're even still there, man. I've been out of Lubbock for like 20 years.
Well, I follow Natalie Maines on Instagram and Twitter because I'm in love with her and have always been. So she's back and forth, I can tell you that. She's got a family now. She lives in L.A.
L.A.? Interesting.
Yeah.
Do the
probably
Dixie
more fitting
Chicks,
for her.
Do they still make new stuff?
Oh, guess what? They got a new album coming out.
Oh, really? Tell us all about it.
I've only read the headlines. But did you hear my country coming out? Yeah, my slang. Because I am from the country myself. But no, Natalie Maines and them just announced that they're putting out a new record. And it's been a 10-year hiatus since the last one. Yeah, and of course, you know me. I went and read the dang comments. Which I try not to. I know it. I try so hard not to look at those comments. But then,
monsters.
Then there's people like, I ain't nobody paying attention to them. They can't even sell out the Palace. And I'm like, well, they sold out Yum Center. Because I went and saw them, and they were amazing.
Oh, my God. How many palaces fit inside the Yum Center?
I don't know.
That's like that Beatles line about how many holes fit inside Albert Hall from A Day in the Life. Yeah. How many palaces fit inside the Yum Center?
Man, that's a great question. I don't know. You stumped me on that one.
Bro, I haven't seen a show in the Yum Center yet. Don't judge.
Oh, well, I've seen too many, probably. I've had some good ones. I've had some bad ones. But, yeah, no, just last year, I saw Madonna, Lady Gaga, Janet Jackson. Hang on. I did see the Dixie Chicks there.
Wow.
Oh, I saw Fleetwood Mac.
What?
Yeah, and then at the Palace, I saw the Pretenders.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, Chrissy Hine, man. What do you think about her voice since you're a vocal man?
My backdoor neighbor, he loves the Pretenders.
Me too.
He went to that show, and we were talking about her singing, man. Just solid. Okay, so there's something that happens to everybody's voice as they age. Your chords thicken. Kind of like your toenails.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you old enough to know this. Your chords thicken. And so what tends to happen is you get a little bit warmer sound. And sometimes if you don't take care of it, you lose some of your range.
Okay.
Some of the high notes.
I could see that.
And like some people, their voices settle like a step or two lower too. But that doesn't happen to everybody. But man, she's taking great care of her voice.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, did he tell you how much of a phone Nazi she was? I mean.
What?
Yeah.
What happened?
Okay, I love Chrissy Hines, but
Yeah.
she scared me to death.
What?
And I'm afraid if I ever met her in person, I'd be like scared.
Did you get singled out?
No, I didn't get singled out because
okay.
I was smart and I did not pull out my phone. Although, I ain't gonna lie, I did pull out my phone toward the end because I wanted a picture of Chrissy Hine. But anyway, there was no photos allowed at that show, and they had those signs everywhere. And when we got in there, she reminded everybody, no phones, I'm not a phone person, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. And then all of a
Keeping
sudden,
it old school.
she'd be in the middle of like Brass and Pocket, some great song, and she'd point out somebody, and she'd go, security, that one right there's got his phone out.
Holy cow.
And then her lead guitarist would like point at him, flip them off, and then you'd see security come and take them out, and everybody was like,
Dude.
put your phones up. Yeah, she's
You know what, though?
Nazi.
That's kind of rock and roll.
It is rock and roll. I wanted her to like take the phone and smash it and like stomp on it, or something crazy. That would have been more punk.
That's crazy.
That would have been more punk.
I was at a concert once. It was a classical music thing. It was Beethoven. So everyone was like,
Right.
and it was a really quiet part, and somebody's phone went off, and it was an opera melody. It was like, different
Good
composer,
timing.
different
Right.
language, and it was sort of like this split in the room between like righteous anger and like, how can I stop from laughing because this is so funny, this is happening now.
Good thing Patti LuPone wasn't in the crowd.
Oh man, she went off on somebody, didn't she?
I know, at an opera. Yeah, wasn't it an opera or is it a theater thing?
Oh
You
yeah,
remember that?
I met her.
She stopped. You've met her?
Dude, yeah,
What?
we hugged
Tell
and
us
everything.
that story.
So I was
You hugged
when
her.
I crossed over.
Okay.
to
What's
Broadway.
crossover?
I use
Crossover from opera to Broadway?
I use heavy
Oh.
quotation marks because the character I played on Broadway was an opera singer, so it was like crossover light.
I love that. That's funny. I need drum hits for that. Boom.
This is like the story of my life. Like,
Well, tell
I feel
us.
like I should write a book about how you just kind of need to be good at one thing and then just kind of try to scoot it around the board.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
what my life has been.
It's kind of what I've done too.
So I was in this play called Masterclass, and Tyne Daly, from Cagney and Lacey, she is awesome. Tyne Daly is.
By the way, I've worked with somebody from Cagney and Lacey too.
Well, so have I. Which one did you work with?
Amy Van Northam. She was married to Tim Daly and has kids with him.
Holy moly!
And we were in the Christians together in Naples, Florida. She was the pastor's wife.
Holy cow!
And I got to act beside her. I had never acted a day in my life, and
I
they got me
remember when you
acting
did
with
that
people
gig.
from Cagney and Lacey
Yeah.
and Wings and
We have this
General
in common.
Hospital.
We have both acted beside Cagney and Lacey stars.
I know, and guess what? They even made me an IMDb page. One day I happened to Google myself, and I had my own IMDb page, and I thought, well,
Bro.
this is weird.
You totally big time me just now. Like I don't have
Bull,
an IMDb.
Bull.
I mean, I don't.
No,
think
but
so.
keep telling us the story about Patti LuPone.
So when a big star like Tyne Daly does a show on Broadway or whatever, all of their friends come. They come and they see. Well, not all their friends, but a lot of them. So like I met Patti LuPone, and I met James Earl Jones.
I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that.
James Earl Jones.
James
like,
Earl Jones.
you look
Yeah.
bigger on stage. You look taller on stage.
Is that
When
what
I
he
met him. And I was like, he was like old and with a cane. He was like kind of throwing some static at me. It was funny.
That's funny.
Darth Vader came at me.
Ooh. It sounds kind of hot for some reason. I don't know why.
That's somebody's dream right there.
I'm sure it's plenty of
Not mine.
Star Wars fans for sure.
But
I love John Williams, by the way.
John Williams is awesome. John Williams is so good at like taking a great melody and then just turning it inside out and doing interesting instrumentation.
Yeah.
That goes exactly with what you're watching on the screen. It's so cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jaws is a great example of that. I mean, by the way, I got the solo in Jaws because the intro, that ba-dum,
Yeah.
ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum. That is a bass clarinet, and I played bass clarinet in concert band growing up.
Bro.
And we had a John Williams theme melody where we did not only his Olympics themes, but we did E.T. and we did the Star Wars Cantina Band stuff and Jaws. And that Jaws intro is bass clarinet.
Dude.
Isn't that cool?
That's another connection. My career is heavily influenced by bass clarinet.
Cool. Man, I love the bass clarinet.
Dude, the classical thing I've done the most is the tenor solos for Beethoven Ninth Symphony. And my little song inside that piece, it starts with this bass clarinet's like burp.
Yeah.
Burp.
It's a cool instrument, man.
It's very
a
cool.
bassy woodwind, you know.
Anyway, end of show, meeting friends of famous people.
Mm-hmm.
Patti LuPone comes in. It's the middle of the summer in New York, and that theater, the Schubert Theater, didn't have the greatest AC. Mm. And I was sweating like crazy, and then I got a photo hugging her, and she had so much energy. Freaking Patti LuPone.
Wow.
I'm not surprised she went after somebody with a phone.
So have you done a lot of stuff on Broadway?
No, it was just that one show, which ran for like 5 months. Mm-hmm. And then that show went over to the West End in London and did another 5 months or 4 months there.
Yeah.
And so I had like that whole Broadway West End experience, which was awesome.
Oh, super cool,
so
man.
Great.
Wow. Equity Theater, nothing like it.
Bro. I was Equity. I don't know if I'm up on my dues.
Yeah, me either. But I had to become Equity for Girlfriend and the Christians and all that. Yeah. Hey, I want to know. So, how did you get in the re-evolution of Steve Jobs, which won you? Is it Jobs? Jobs. That's what I thought.
The dude who made the iPhones, man.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know who he is. Okay. But how did you get in that? Because that won you the Grammy.
That's the one.
Yeah.
They, my career kind of sort of started out in Santa Fe, New Mexico. They have like a summer program. Well, they have a summer opera season.
Yeah. New Mexico is one of my favorite states of all time. And I'm still kicking myself because I was in El Paso when you all were doing that. And it was a little bit far of a drive for me.
Yeah, everything's so far
I would have
apart.
had to borrow somebody's car, and I didn't want to do that. And I'm still kicking myself that I didn't come see that show.
Okay, the composer is Mason Bates. Mm-hmm. And he is such a cool guy. Like, he's an amazing composer for classical music, and he's got tons of successful works, like all different genres, like orchestral, operatic, smaller stuff, like everything.
Yeah.
But he's also a really good DJ. Like, he turns it and spins it, and he's good.
Cool, and man. Like you're talking about scratchy DJ.
Yes. He'll run your dance party and light it up. And he added a lot of electronica stuff into the Steve Jobs score because, it's about technology and stuff. So that fitted really nicely. So it was great because there's like 110 piece orchestra. I don't know if it's that many. I just made that up. It's like a full orchestra in the pit. Like a lot. Probably at least 90. Maybe 80, 90 players.
That's a large orchestra.
And then he's there, nested in the middle of the orchestra with all of his techno machines all around him for these noises that he's about to make. And every once in a while, just like this huge bass drop will come in the middle of it. It's amazing.
Big old 808. Wow.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, there's a couple of places where the character Steve Jobs is sort of having a little bit of a breakdown, and part of the orchestration is this huge bass drop.
Yeah.
And the whole stage would shake, and some of the orchestra people complained, which is when you're doing it right.
Oh, yeah. There is that fine line between an orchestra musician and like a rock star musician that does like rock and roll bars and clubs and stuff like that. There's a big difference in the personalities.
Yeah.
Because they always look at me because sometimes here in the orchestra, I'll bring in my drum machine and they're like, "What are you gonna do with that?" And I'm like, "Playing timpani on it." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, people can't see it. They don't know." And they're like, "Yeah, right." And then I'll program the notes and they're like, "Wow, it sounds like a timpani back there." And I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds exactly the same."
Yeah, man.
I mean, other than the room, but when you're going through a PA,
yeah, it doesn't matter when you're going through a PA. But you gotta have like an old guy with the mallets playing the timpani every once in a while. Right. You gotta have the real thing.
Well, see, we usually have that screen where people can't see you that you sit behind. So they only see like the top of your head. So I'll just bring the mallets and look like this above so they only see me doing that, and then they hear the machine.
It's faux timpani. It's fimpani.
Right. What'd you call it?
Fimpani.
Fimpani. Fake timpani. Fake timpani. Faux timpani. Yeah, exactly. That's what I call a cowbell.
Cowbell.
Yeah, fake cowbell. It's like the sounds, Yeah. I'm a big fan of technology myself. I've always been in the forefront of that. Because I grew up, I was an 80s kid, man. I mean, I come out of the, I don't know what that was, but it was kind of funny, wasn't it?
The 80s was calling out.
It was. The 80s is phoning home and said, "Jyn, come back. No, but I've always been in the forefront. As an 80s kid growing up to Phil Collins and all these masters of electronic drums, I I mean, electronic drums have been in our music since 1980.
Yeah, and it's great stuff.
Yeah.
And Phil Collins is a great example because he's such a good, legit acoustic drummer.
Right. Well, right. And I don't just use electronics. I like to mix them in with the acoustic set because then you get hand claps. And I mean, think about all the sounds you can make on an electronic. It's endless. It's like music. It's endless. Literally, I can go out here and sample crickets and put them on my machine and hit a button and it's crickets.
That's what Mason Bates did for Revolutionist Steve Jobs. Some of the sounds that he wanted, he took his mic and he would find old original Apple computers, turn them on so that their hard drives are cycling up, and then he sampled that and then he turned it into part of the score.
I love that.
I know.
Man, we did a record called Welcome to the Queendom not too long ago, probably about 5 years ago. It was my first full electronic record.
Oh.
And we have a song in there called Yes, Yes, GPS, where we sample Siri. And we're basically the song line is about somebody trying to get to somebody's house, but they can only do it by their GPS on their iPhone. And it's Siri being like, I don't understand, and then I literally took every old school sound, like the dial-up modem. I got that sound.
Love that sound.
I got the sound from the Speak and Spell. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Speak and Spell was an ET.
All kinds of Atari sounds. I mean, I took everything I could and mashed it up into this song.
Oh, man, that's so fun.
It's quite hilarious.
It's so fun when you hear those sounds and you're like, oh, I know what that is. What is that?
Do you remember the doo-doo-doo? We're sorry. The number you've reached is no longer in service. Kids have no idea what that is today. They're like, what's that? I was like, well, back when we actually had a home phone only and you would call, and there was a party line,
Party line.
You remember the party lines?
Yes, and the receiver cord is 80 feet long so you can take it into your bedroom.
Yeah, exactly.
It ties into knots every time you hang the phone up.
Yeah. So Garrett, you were in the re-evolution of Steve Jobs, and you played the Woz.
I played the Woz, which is really cool.
Oh man, did you get to meet the Woz?
So no, it's a really sad thing. I mean, we reached out to his people and just kind of got the professional no.
Yeah.
And then when the show went to Seattle in this February, he was there, but he was there a week after we wrapped and left.
Oh wow.
Oh man. I want to meet him so bad. And I wanted to see the show.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of
a big deal.
And he's sort of like the character everybody loves the most in the show. I mean, it's probably...
he dated Kathy Griffin. I don't know if you remember about that, but
no
he
one's
did.
perfect, okay?
I know. Oh, you crack me up.
He helped
I
bring
think
us
she would
home
even laugh at
computing.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait. I always got to get this straight. Are we talking Griffiths or Griffin?
I'm not for sure. It's
talking
the
the one that
redheaded
was
comedian that was just banned out of America or whatever she did.
Oh, God. Yeah, she did. And now that she had a special about getting banned. That lady can turn
she started
anything.
I know. She started with the D-List TV show where she was like the D-List comedian. And they would just follow her around to these really crappy clubs.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then somehow she made the A-list, and I think she's back on the F list now. No, but the comedian, yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well,
yeah, but there. He was on her show.
Has lived a very full life, man.
Yeah,
once he made a lot of money, which he did. He's out there with rock and roll bands.
Oh, I mean, I would
producing shows, and now he's making technology available to education all over the world. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, and I tell you what, we like those cool dudes because you're listening to us via live stream on the internet, which is brought to you by a lot of these cool dudes.
Thank you, technology.
And chicks. I don't want to leave out the girls.
And chicks.
Yeah, because some of the girls were the main pioneers of electronic symphony music, synthesizers and stuff like that.
Oh man, last year, my wife, who's an opera singer, she's better than me. It's ironic actually that I'm the one that won the Grammy in the family because she's much better than me.
That's so funny.
But I'll take that irony. Anyway, last year she was working with Kentucky Opera here in town, and they did 3 shows that all had a strong feminine perspective, and they were also all directed by women.
Cool.
Which was really cool.
Love that.
Yeah, and it's funny when you get shows directed from feminine perspectives because when you're a dude, you think you kind of have a grasp, and you just don't.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I went to Michigan Women's Music Festival, which was run by all females and only females on stage, there's like 5 to 10,000 women there that I got to play in front. That's when I was like, women should run the world. Because here's why. I mean, their porta potties smell like roses every day.
Boom.
They fed you 3 meals a day. They gave you massages if you broke down. They had childcare. They had nurse stations. Everything was free and taken care of. And I was like, they literally thought this out. It was so well organized.
Dude.
Now, when I go to like a Bonnaroo, yeah, nothing like that. You don't even have toilet paper.
Side-by-side
well,
comparison.
you don't even have toilet paper in the porta potties. You might as well bring your own. And good luck using those because they're nasty and the showers are gross. And, I mean, you know, you are paying $20 a meal. You know, $10 a drink.
Oh, Disney style pricing. Yeah, I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
I just was like, there's no comparison, you know, like.
Well, Jyn, that's why I have Elizabeth in my life, running my life.
To keep you on track.
Well, we are fed, and everything is clean and smelling nice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love coming over to your house. You've got some great
We love
drum
it when you come
studios.
over to our house.
Yeah.
We've
They
had some good
feed
family
me.
dinners.
We have. I love sitting around the family dinner table and eating and talking to the kids.
You've come down to our freezing basement. It's so cold in our
It is
basement.
cold down there. Remind me to bring a long sleeve shirt next time.
Well, we thought about making, you know, like Louisville voice lessons, like Snuggies or
Oh, I love that. I'll wear a Snuggie.
I don't know. Would you wear a Snuggie after someone else?
After someone else, maybe not.
See?
I'm kind of a germaphobe, though.
It's a
in a
personal
way.
thing.
It is a personal thing, yeah. But I'd wear my own. Sure.
Yeah. Well, we should have like a huge like coat rack so everybody can leave their stuff.
So if you have kids, I know y'all are slamming, but are you taking new students for LouisvilleVoiceLessons.com?
We are. So
Okay.
for the first time this year, we expanded and added the fantastic Jasmine Davis to our teacher team.
Awesome.
And her studio is almost full. And we're looking around, and I think we maybe have found our 4th teacher, but we're just looking really, really hard because we want everybody to have a positive experience. Singing is really vulnerable. You're kind of showing a part of the inside of you to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that we find someone that can provide a positive experience, that has some professional experience,
Right.
People who've already taught and know what they do as a teacher.
Right.
So we look and we look and we look and we look. We finally found Jasmine, who's wonderful. And we think maybe we found someone else. So,
Cool.
yeah, I think we're going to be taking people in the fall.
Awesome.
We're full as we can be right now.
Mm-hmm. Y'all have been rocking it for quite some time now, and have really built that program up. So if you have kids who want to sing, how young do you take?
I think our voice lessons tend to be a half hour, and it's hard to get somebody under the age of 7 or 8 to just have an attention span for that long.
Yeah.
I think you
Does
do
it
a
have
little
any-
bit better with drums than we do with voice.
Well, I feel like drums are different because
Yeah.
most kids want to just hit something. It's fun.
Yeah,
Why
it's
not
kinetic,
just
you
hit?
know?
Right.
Yeah.
So I have found, and a lot of the male teachers can't even take as young as me, but I will take 4 and up. If I take under 4, it gets a little iffy, but usually by 4, I can keep their attention.
That's incredible.
If not, just hit a drum and they'll pay attention. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome. Yeah,
And there's nothing not cool about a drum set. You know.
Man, it's just so beautiful. It's just sitting there gleaming and
But I wanted to ask you, is there something concerning the vocal cords, and singing? Do those develop at a certain age, or should you not try to take lessons before a certain age?
So the answer to that question is all about the genre of music that people are singing. Elizabeth and I both tend to avoid the conversation. Yes, we're opera singers, because the follow-up is, oh my God, I love Charlotte Church so much. And Charlotte Church has done some great things with her career, but she also manufactured a mature, grown sound out of a really immature voice. And that can lead to vocal damage really, really quickly.
Yeah.
But if you're singing some pop songs that you love on the radio, like a pop ballad, or if there's a young lady in our studio right now who loves Patsy Cline.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Who
you can sing
doesn't? I
that.
love
There's
me some Patsy Cline.
it's totally healthy for your voice. A great way to grow as a musician. But if you have somebody who wants to make a grown-up opera sound and they're 17 years old, be careful. You gotta go slow. You gotta use the old Italian technique. You gotta know the goods. So we're really, really careful with the kids and make sure that we match their technique where they are and grow them slowly, layer in the stuff they need to know at a pace that they can handle. And of course, above all, we try to make sure everybody has a really positive experience, because it's just, music can be something that is rewarding for you for your entire life. It can make every aspect of your life better. And we don't want to take 1 ounce of that away from anyone.
I could see that.
Yeah. You have to be so careful, because without music in my life, I don't know where I would be. I just don't. I've just had such a full, happy life because of music. Mm-hmm. And there's things in my life, like I'm sure that in everybody's life, that could have made things, make a left turn into disaster.
Oh, man, I've had a few of those.
Yeah.
I had last year. I had several of those.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
sometimes
music makes everything okay.
It does. It does. It was people who were not choosing me music. You know what I mean? And making me feel less than in music, and being like, well, you can't play Joan Jett. And I'm like, what? Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, it was some of those. And then I was like, you know what?
Y'all don't know Jyn Yates.
No. And they thought I had a bad attitude and everything else, It just goes with I think it was a lot of jealousy, and, there's a lot of things that go with music, a lot of addiction issues. There's lots of drinking that go on behind the scenes. You're in bars every night.
Yeah.
And I think last year was just an eye-opening experience, too. I don't want to play bars the whole rest of my life. I want to go bigger than that.
Yeah.
I want to put out records,
man.
Original stuff. I want... to play in orchestras and theaters and travel and, and play with the tops of the top,
Yeah. Oh,
I don't want to just do cover music in bars.
And that's one thing that, I mean, there's some exceptions, but whenever I've had the, I guess, really lucky opportunity to be working with the very top people in the world in classical music, I mean, almost all of them are just really nice and down to earth, like totally cool people that you could just sit around and have a drink with and talk about whatever. They don't just talk about classical music. I think people at the top of any profession, they tend to be pretty balanced, nice people. Mm-hmm. Dude, one thing I have to say about music, and something that I'm really happy about lately, and something that I'm super happy about with the character that I helped create with the Revolution of Steve Jobs, is I'm a big guy, my body, and I come from a family of pretty big people. And there's a little bit of fat hate in the world. I wouldn't say it's as bad a situation as other things, but it's out there.
Oh yeah, tons. And especially in the music industry.
That's what I was gonna say. Like when you stand up on stage, sometimes everybody's like, "Oh my God, you have to like fit this formula, or else." But the roles that I've done that have been the most enjoyable for me had nothing to do with that. Like my characters were big guys, and they were super effective in what they were doing on stage.
That's why I love that new chick, Lizzo.
Yeah, I was so happy when you told me about her. She's a big old
girl, and by the way, she's a master flute player. She'll like turn around and she's like the Pied Piper, right?
That's incredible.
Flautist, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I've experienced some of that in my day too, because I was not the normal-looking female, feminine female, and I wasn't gonna fem it up just to make somebody want to goo goo gaga at me,
Well, and you can have the space and the wherewithal to say no, that's not right, and just say this is cool too, this is powerful too, this has value too.
Yeah, I agree.
And as long as you have a team of people behind you that are selling that with you, it's successful, just like every other thing that's been said to be powerful and accepted and great. So I love music for that too. But there's like so many reasons.
I know, of course, man. And we're gonna take a short break real quick, but we got a whole another hour and a half with you, man.
Woo!
You're just full of stories and fantastic info. I love it.
It's all lies.
It's Garrett Sorenson, opera singer. I know you want to avoid that, but opera singer. He's a great vocalist, great pianist. He won a Grammy for the re-evolution of Steve Jobs. It's sitting right here in front of me in the LRS102 .com, Walrus Studios. I know you're a big fan of the 80s, and so am I. We talk about that a lot. Man, when I first met you and you brought your son in for drum lessons, you was always wearing the cool, big old, like, headphones. And I was like, oh, this dude is going to be cool. Yeah.
I wonder what I was listening to.
It was like Run DMC or something. It was something totally unexpected that I was like, you're listening to Run DMC?
Oh, man. I love 90s hip hop.
Oh, me too.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, I get a lot of slack for that.
Well,
but I get a lot of my original music influence from hip hop because I was a hip hop kid. I loved the rhythm. I loved the electronic drums. It was all about the beat and the vocal.
Yeah.
You know, and the samples. I love samples.
Oh, man. Who doesn't love samples?
Yeah, I had this African drummer tell me once, this older lady that I studied under and did a clinic with. Her name was Ubaka Hill. And she said, if you want to have a hit, you take something old and you make it new again for the new generation. Because then you'll already have the older generation because it's from them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I started throwing samples in my, you know, me and Bev started recording samples of everything from gospel I'll Fly Away to Marvin Gaye to Sylvester 70s disco, you know, and Phil Collins.
Well, and now, like you said, for the kids, this is an Old Town Road song.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about Old Town Road.
It's never going to die.
Yeah. Oh no, probably not.
It's the new Thriller. It's the new Beat It.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far,
no.
Production wise or video wise. But I will say this: I mean, I credit anybody who is willing to step outside their box and do something completely different because that's where I love to be outside. I'm like, what box? There is no box. You can't box this.
So,
you know.
no kidding. That's 100% true.
But that Old Town Road, that I was the one who was telling you about that, and then you said 10 days later you heard your kids came in like geeks and were like,
oh my God. So
yeah.
Literally this morning in the car, I'm like in the drive-through lane with my daughter, and she has my phone. She's playing like a mix-up of different covers of Old Town Road that she found on YouTube.
Oh no.
And it's just like all these people, and some of them are good and some of them are not. And I'm just like, if I hear this hook from Old Town Road one more time, I'm just going to start banging my head against the wall. But they love it. And now I'm that old guy. Why do you listen to that same song over and over, child?
Yeah, exactly.
But I did it. What was that song for me? I was a big Aerosmith guy.
Yep.
And Crazy came out on the album that had the cow on the front. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, yeah, Big Ones.
Big Ones?
Yeah, I think it was called Big Ones.
No, Big Ones was the number
with the
one
cow.
album. The cow, what was
Keep talking,
that?
I'll find it.
What was that? Anyway, and they made fun of him on SNL.
It wasn't
that year.
Revolver or Pump, right?
No, it was the one after Pump.
No, did I say Revolver? That's the Beatles.
It was the one after Pump, and they made fun of him on Saturday Night Live because Steven Tyler was on there, and they were saying how there were 3 songs on this album that all sounded the same: Amazing, Crying, and Crazy, which wasn't true, by the way. They just had similar titles.
Get a grip.
Get a grip.
Get a grip
yes.
because it's a cow udder. Get it? Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, I love that record.
Oh man, I love that record so much.
Eat the Rich is my favorite track off that.
Dude, that's got such great drums.
The drums are killer. Joey Kramer is one of my faves.
Do you know his stuff? Like, I don't know anything about him.
I know a lot about him.
Like, he's so chill compared to Joe and Steve because those guys are so big and forward, you know. Yeah. And Joey,
he kind of smacks them around on Twitter sometimes. I'm big on. I love to tweet. I love to tweet.
Nice.
And I follow a lot of celebrities on Twitter, especially a lot of drummers. And he is not a fan of Steven Tyler going country and all that, you know, and not taking Aerosmith. Yeah, he's been doing it for a minute. He's down in. Everybody goes to Nashville to make a record after, you know.
I guess everybody's got to do that.
But he has his own coffee line. He's a big coffee connoisseur.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
well, you know, he's been, percolating beats for years.
Oh, man. I mean, without him, where would Aerosmith be? I mean, some of those, Dude Looks Like a Lady is rocking. I mean, Dream On, I still teach to kids to this day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a great one for kids to learn because it's not incredibly hard. Yeah, the tempo is not really fast, but it does have a couple little challenging fills in it.
Man, can we have just like a Jyn as drum instructor moment here?
Sure.
The other day we were driving, it was in the morning, and 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover came on the radio.
Mm-hmm. Which your son knows, by the way.
Which my son knows, and he was sitting right next to me in the car, and he was like, oh yeah, Jyn taught me this beat. This part right here is really hard, listen. And that was so cool for my son to be telling me to listen to that beat.
The drum part.
Yeah, you know, because I'm always like, listen to this song, it's so cool. But he turned it around on me, and it was great. It was awesome.
Me and Jeff Jarbo talked, the drummer of the Wolf Brothers was on. We talked about that. Every drummer has to have that moment where they learn certain songs.
Yeah.
You know, we all have to go through our Zeppelin phase, you know, because it's just a thing. And I think a lot of people go through a Neil Peart moment, you know. But 50 Ways, Steve Gadd, he's a marching band guy. We call him the Doctor. He's a doctorate in percussion, and I forget from what, maybe like Juilliard or somewhere, you know. But he is the man, and if you talk to any pro drummer, they're going to tell you they studied, you know, from him, watching him, because he was great. He's like he's up there with Buddy Rich and everybody else. But either way, he's a traditional guy. He's really quiet. He played behind Paul Simon for a long time. He's played with a ton of people. But he's a right-handed guy who plays that groove left-handed on the hi-hat. So he plays it like a lefty would play it on purpose. And then he plays it traditional grip, which is when you hold the left hand different than match grip. So anyway, it's an incredibly hard beat because it's linear, and linear in drumming is when you only hit one drum at a time.
He was explaining that to me. He was like, it's linear, it's not...
Linear is incredibly hard, and you would think in your head it would be opposite, that non-linear drumming would be harder than linear, but it's actually the complete opposite, because each limb is exposed and has to be independent.
Oh.
You know, and not depend on, you know, my right foot's not depending on my right hand to hit.
Gotcha.
They're hitting separate. So linear drumming is incredibly hard, and that's a linear groove.
Yeah, there are a lot of instances in all kinds of music, right, where something that's that seems simple, that seems sort of condensed down or drawn down to like its simplest parts. Like doing that exposes you and makes it's technically very hard. Yeah. And you have to be on your top game to pull it off.
Well, yeah, because the drummer cannot depend on any other instrument for the foundation. I mean, we are the foundation. We are the backbone. And if we're speeding up, slowing down, then guess what? Everybody else is too.
Dude,
you know?
I have it. I have the analogy.
Sure.
Good drummers are like sunrises and sunsets.
Oh, I love that.
Because they're always there. They're always excellent, no matter what. But like totally taken for granted. Like
absolutely.
Day in, day out. You hear these great songs on the radio, right? And you're like, oh my God, listen to that guitar solo. Oh my God, listen to that lead singer.
Yeah, guitarists get a solo and everything.
But like freaking who's like, oh my God, the drummer. Yeah. The drummer is like everything.
I do. I'm like, I don't even know the name of the singer, but I know the drummer. Yeah.
Well, and now that you're teaching my son now, I'm like, I'm all about that. I'm like, oh, listen to this drummer. Ooh, yeah.
There's so many good ones out there, and we talked about a lot this week. And I forgot to talk about James Gadson because he's one of my all-time favorites. Gadson played with Bill Withers.
Oh.
And he's on Use Me and all those tracks. And they even named that 16th note groove after him. You got to learn the Gadson groove, man. You got to learn how. And he held traditional again. Another guy who played traditional. So
man, it's pretty good if you can get a groove named after you.
Yeah, exactly. That's every. I mean, Bernard Purdie has one.
Yeah.
You know, there's some Steve Gadds definitely named. They even the halftime shuffle. Bernard Purdie invented it, but Bonham took it and did it in Fool in the Rain. So they've got the Purdie shuffle and then the Bonham shuffle, and then you've got and then now the Jeff Porcaro version of that halftime shuffle, which is from Rosanna. All three the same kind of groove with just a few differences. Yeah,
dude. What genre is the Jyn Shuffle gonna be in? What
know,
genre
man.
of rock?
I don't know. I do love to try to come up with stuff that I'm just like, whoa, you know. I'm not for sure. I mean, I'm good at a few things. Of course, I was always a rocker, but I actually grew up playing a lot of country and jazz and, marching band, theater pieces. I shouldn't say theater. I should say more like orchestra type stuff, concert bandy type stuff.
Yeah.
Marching band stuff.
Oh my God! Like, so,
but I love everything. I just love music. I love drums. I love anything to do with drum notation, reading music. I really love to read music. I actually even love to transcribe it. When I hear it, I love to try to write it out.
Man, you can. There's no better way to learn a piece of music than to transcribe it. Like you'll never, ever, 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 ever forget it ever. It's impossible.
Yeah,
to
I
forget
keep all my transcriptions too. I try to keep a folder and a big thing of those because sometimes they'll come back up.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh, I'm doing Rocky Horror again. Oh, well, just let me go grab the whole thing that I did,
cool,
whatever
man.
it is.
Yeah, I have that too with the opera thing. With the opera thing, like I'll have learned a role, and usually it's not in English, so I'll have to translate it for myself. And then there's always a place, especially if it's like an opera role that's in Russian, for example. There's some things that are just really hard for an American speaking.
I would definitely think. I mean, I was just going to ask you, so you have to sing in Russian?
Well, the thing is, and you have to make it sound like Russian too. And it helps that it's opera because opera is big and loud, right? So it doesn't sound like the spoken language exactly anyway. It sounds like an opera version of that.
Right.
But whenever you go to a gig and you're like, let's say you're doing a Russian show by Tchaikovsky, for example, there will be a Russian coach there who's there to make sure that when you sing in Russian, you sound like Russian.
Well, yeah, it'd be like somebody trying to sound country that was, Canadian.
Totally.
Yeah. By the way, when I went to Canada, they all were like, your accent, are you from Texas? And I'd be like, Kentucky. And they'd go, is that near Texas?
Oh, my God.
Because just like we don't know their provinces, they don't know where our states are.
I don't know.
They're like, is Boston near Louisville? I'm like, no.
Oh, my God. Well, when I
that's really cool about the singing stuff.
Strangely worked in Australia a lot, and that conversation about Kentucky always went back to chicken. Unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's all about the chicken jokes.
I mean, there's a lot of good bourbon knowledge, but
bourbon, horses. You know what I always say about Kentucky? Because I love my Kentucky. I'm actually not from Louisville. I'm from I'm from Kentucky.
Right.
Kentucky is the place where everything bad for you is okay because we love to gamble. We love bourbon. They love smoking here.
Oh my Lord.
Wow. I mean, if you think about anything bad for you, it's okay in Kentucky.
And let me just say that we're really behind the curve on like the marijuana front. Like, we need to legalize the medical marijuana because it helps so many people, and we could grow the crap out of that stuff here
and make a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah. And not only that, but the CBD stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna actually have Jim Higdon is coming in. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a great friend of mine. He's from down around Marion County, and I'm from Adair, of course. And he started his own line of cornbread CBD oil. Yes. And he wrote the Cornbread Mafia book as well as a lot of other books. And, so he's going to come in and we're going to talk all about the medical marijuana stuff and the CBDs and the Cornbread Mafia.
I'm going to be listening for that.
Yes.
I love that. I think I got halfway through the Cornbread Mafia book, and then something came along I had to go read, but whoa.
Yeah, and there's a precursor to that one, too. I think it's called The Bluegrass Conspiracy. It's not he didn't write it, but it was one that came out years ago about the same kind of issue.
Love conspiracies.
Me too. And I had family kind of, all around that situation, so they would tell me stories too. And I was always, as a kid, on the lookout for Johnny Boone. I'm like, where's Johnny Boone? Everybody's trying to find him,
Oh, yeah.
They actually found him in Canada.
They found him, right?
Yeah, they found him up in Canada.
Sorry, Johnny.
That's okay. I think he's going to get a slap on the wrist because he's so old.
Yeah,
he looks like Santa Claus.
He totally does. He's on the back.
I'm like,
cover
how do you
of that
hide
book?
looking like Santa Claus for all those years from the FBI? It just cracks me up.
I don't know. You can hide behind a beard, I think.
Maybe. I probably could.
Yes.
See, we were talking about earlier how people that don't know me in person they think I'm so serious and just angry. I'm like, no.
Angry?
No,
they just see you like banging drums and shaking your hair, and they're like, oh my God. She's like Animal.
Fierce. Yeah.
Animal from the Muppets.
Yeah. I get compared to him quite often.
Which is a compliment.
Absolutely.
Man.
Yeah. I wish I could have Animal on the show. Wouldn't it be cool?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, somebody in to voice Animal.
That would be the show to end all shows.
I
Although
agree.
you might have to do most of the talking.
Probably, because yeah, he's always mad. Have you always noticed they always put Animal in like a straight jacket, and he's always coming from like the mental institution? And it's kind of true with drummers. It's kind of funny.
Bro, you guys just have to hold it together for everyone.
Yeah.
The pressure's going to snap you eventually.
I agree, man. Well, Garrett, we've got tons of stuff to talk about. How are you enjoying this LRS interview?
Man, the LRS Studios is amazing. If
Isn't
you
it?
guys have been thinking about doing an interview on radio, this is where you want to come.
We're
If
the
you can
coolest,
get
man.
The invitation.
Yeah, exactly. Get the invitation. I've only had 2 no's. Actually, they didn't say no. It was just crickets.
Oh, okay.
I'm still waiting to hear back.
It can be intimidating to be on the radio. Like, you might start thinking too much about what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I never think about what I
No,
say.
of
That's
course
why
not.
I'm married to Elizabeth. She fixes all of the problems that I
Right.
create with my mouth.
And then guess what? When I go back and archive, I can go, yeah, we can cut that part out. We can cut that part out. I'll make you sound good. Anyway, Garrett, stick around. We're talking to Garrett Sorenson, opera singer, Grammy Award winner.
We need to tell Grammy stories.
Oh, yes.
Next segment.
Next segment, we're talking about the Grammys. I want to hear all about that stuff
I'm
for
bringing
sure.
it. I got it for you.
Yeah. Fest coming up too in October, which we're really super pumped about. They just announced the lineup and the list of music and bands are amazing. I actually went to the tap room the other night in the Highlands to watch them battle it out to see who was going to get on the LRS Fest, and there was a lot of like really heavy metal type bands.
Cool.
But that place was packed.
They had a contest to see who was going to play?
Oh yeah.
What an
we
awesome
hosted
idea.
it. Well, I don't know. How long have you been hip to LRS? Do you know anything about LRS?
About 16. Well, how long have we been on air?
16, an hour and a half.
Dude, I just moved to Louisville like a decade ago.
Right,
Man.
I totally get that. I totally get that because I
I'm a
did the
huge fan,
same.
man.
I came in 1999, but just to kind of get you hip to LRS, I mean, we've been around since 1964, and they were the premier rock and roll station for years. And I mean, if you talk to anybody who's listening since the 60s, you'll know that LRS was breaking Pink Floyd when they broke.
That's crazy.
You know, when Dark Side came out, LRS was the first one to spin it, you know.
Oh, my God.
They were spinning deep cuts of Jethro Tull and, and all these groups back in the day before anybody had ever really heard of them.
Whoa.
So they were premier in bringing rock and roll to Louisville in this area. So
Can I listen to LRS in my car?
you used to could on 102.3, but nowadays we're only online streaming via your app.
I don't have a fancy car with a radio that'll
Yeah.
play like streaming music.
Well, guess what? I still have a tape deck in mine. And what I did was I bought one of them little cheesy tape deck things.
With the thing, with
Yeah.
the plug-in to
Yeah.
your phone. Oh my God. Well, I got to get on here now. I got to get onto the LRS.
You do. Look, we're going to live stream our little segment here. Yeah, so I still have the cassette deck in my car with the MP3 plug, and I basically just listen to playlists. I don't listen to a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I will do some streaming stuff, and I'll do some online playlist and what are those called? Podcast kind of things. Yeah.
Podcast, yes.
We're here with Garrett Sorenson, Grammy winner, for the re-evolution of Steve Jobs in Santa Fe.
Yes.
And how was New Mexico, man? I love New Mexico.
God, man, I love New Mexico so much. When I win the lottery, I'm going to buy a winter home in New Mexico and stay there for the rest of my life.
Will you invite me?
Yes, we'll have big jams.
Yeah.
Big jams. We'll fly everybody in.
Yeah.
It'll be amazing.
Cool. Your kids will probably be in college by then. Or-
Yeah.
You know.
Probably be, I don't know. Jonah wants to, right now, he wants to be rich and drive fancy cars. So he either needs to be a really successful drummer or
Yeah.
like a hedge fund banker. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, make sure he does have a second something to fall back on.
Right.
Yeah.
We tell all of our students that, like,
Yeah.
if you really want to keep enjoying music, sometimes it can't be the way you make your living.
Right.
You might start to hate music if, you get stuck in a place where you can't make quite enough money.
Right.
Life starts to suck.
I just start praying. I just start praying to a higher power, and I'm like, what is it you want me to do now, God? Can you bring me some cool gig? And then, boom, it's like LRS lands in your lap.
There you go.
I totally believe in that because, I mean,
Putting it out there in the universe. It's
you've
coming
got to
back.
put it out. You've got to ask for it.
Oh,
Ask
man.
and ye shall receive, right?
All right, you ready for some
I
Grammy
want to hear the
stories?
Grammy stories, man. Give it to me.
So when you're in a project that might get a Grammy, you get buzz about the Grammy. Like somebody knows someone who's in the Recording Academy,
Right.
and they start to sort of let some rumors slip that you might get nominated.
Well, I think you have to go that route, right? Somebody has to nominate you that's already in.
They're asking me if
Yeah.
I want to be in the Recording Academy now.
Well, I think once you win one, you're in.
No, you got to pay $100 a year.
Okay.
And I haven't said yes yet because I don't know if it's a heavy homework responsibility. I don't
Well, how about I pay the $100 to get you in, and then you nominate me for my Hillbilly Swagger record or solo record,
and nothing was the same after
and
that
then we'll
day.
erase this message, and it will explode as soon as we're done with it.
So there was buzz around this, and we did a production in New Mexico, and then it went from there to Seattle. And between that time was when it wasn't just buzz. Then we woke up the same as everybody else and watched for the nominations to be released.
Yeah.
And then we found out that our CD that they made of live performances got nominated for 3 categories. It was like technical recording, for best contemporary work, and then best opera recording, and that's what we ended up winning. So you find out you're nominated. Thanks, man. You find out you're nominated, and it's so exciting and so fun, and you find out what a big deal the Grammys is, because everybody knows. The friggin' roofer comes over and knows, and like everybody is congratulating you, and it's like so fun.
I was blowing you up on Facebook going, oh my gosh, he got nominated for a Grammy. Everybody crossed their fingers, and then I'm like, holy crap, he actually won the Grammy. You know?
Well, and when I got like my first really big gigs, like for an opera singer, like at the Metropolitan Opera in New York and stuff, people kind of know about that, but everybody knows about the Grammys. So the payoff is really big.
Right.
And then what happens is you sort of wait to find out from the Grammy people, like, what does this mean for you? Are you going to go to the show? Because we're not in a category that's going to be on the nighttime televised Grammys.
Right. You're not going to be up there with Dolly Parton and Gaga.
I mean, we went to that live show, which was amazing. But
tell me about that, because Dolly is my favorite. I want to hear about the Dolly performance, because that was you were at the best one.
Oh, man. And the thing is, like, Dolly Parton did a whole set. There were like 3 different groups, and she was on there, and they were sort of rotating through people. And I was like, what's this going to be like? Because she's going to be up there with Katy Perry. You know, like, how is that going to work?
I know. Also, by the way, though, Linda Perry, more than Katy Perry, I love Linda Perry of 4 Non-Blondes. She was sitting behind her. She's the big producer of.
Nice.
Yeah, she wrote a lot of the Pink hits. She wrote "Beautiful" for Christina Aguilera.
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful song.
And
That's
What's Up, What's
song.
Going On? That's her. She wrote it.
Dude.
And I know her female drummer, Dawn Richardson.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's a Jyn
Small
connection.
world, man.
It's a Jynection.
Jynection. I love that. Yeah. I'm always trying to come up with.
Trademark.
Gender bender, Jynspiration,
Jynspiration.
the generator. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, go on with the
Jynection.
story.
So, okay. So you find out, and they send you this stuff. You get invited. If you want to guess, they have to pay to come, which is a drag. But still, you go, and like you're there, and they have an afternoon thing for not as famous categories like opera, for example, or Americana, for which Brandi Carlile just.
Oh, I love Brandi Carlile.
She just cleaned up.
What cracks me up, everybody thinks that she's brand new, and I'm like, no, she's been coming to Louisville for 15 or 20 years.
Oh my God.
I mean, she's been around for a long time, and deservedly so. She won her Grammy.
Dude, well, it was like a coronation. It was clear what was going on, because she, in the afternoon before the evening at the Microsoft Center, where they do some rap, and they do some blues awards, and they do Americana, and they do some classical stuff, and that's where our category was. And she was like in categories that were before and after ours. So I saw her up there getting like 4 or 5 Grammys in that afternoon thing.
Wow.
And she had these speeches ready to go. Like, she knew that she was up for a lot, and it was looking good, because she was ready to give these great
What do you think about her
speeches.
vocals? Because
amazing.
Yeah. Some of her fans love it that her voice like tends to crack, but somebody also told me that they think she does it slightly on purpose.
Yes.
Because you can control that. It was Kim Cantwell telling me that. I was like, you can control a crack in your voice? I didn't know that.
Dude, operatic tenors do that all the time, man. That
Good
little bit of cry, that little sob in the voice, it moves people. It moves the people.
It moved me.
She's great.
Yeah.
So she's like, to me, technically, as a singer, she's like an old like rock belter. And man, I was really worried when she went up to. It was the last live performance of the televised Grammys this year. I think there were like 8 live performances, and I think she closed the show. And she had been talking and talking and talking all day, like giving speeches, like interviewing.
You don't see that on TV.
Yeah, no, like once you win, you go up and someone in your group gives the speech. Then you go backstage and there's like press junkets. You have to get your photo taken. Yeah. There's more press junkets. You're talking to everybody on your family and friends on your phone. Everything's blowing up, you know. And so she's been going and going all day. And then at the end of the night, she has to sing that huge. What was that song that she sang? That was so
the new
huge?
one.
Oh my God!
Oh, I know the name of it.
The end of that song is big. It's like high, hard, heavy singing. And I was like, oh God, I hope this goes really well because she just won everything today, and this sounds like it's gonna be hard. And she just destroyed it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, destroyed it.
And I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. So did you stay around to see all that? You did watch that, right?
Yeah, my brother Phil came, and so he was my +1, and we saw Dolly. And
do you only get a +1 because some of these people have entourages?
So if you're part of the Recording Academy, then you can there's a new set of rules.
Okay.
But I'm just me, you know, just newbie that got nominated. So it was me and a guest if they wanted to pay some money because it's not cheap to go to the Grammys as a guest.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, but he came and he was there sitting next to me in the afternoon thing when we won. So that was exciting. Yeah. And then I went backstage after we won, and then we met up again before the evening show, and we sat together for that too. And that's where we were really close to everybody.
Wow.
We saw, you know, Lady Gaga.
Oh. I think I would have just passed out if I'd have seen her. She's
tiny.
My new wife. She just doesn't know it. I say that about Halsey too, or Halsey, or whatever her name is. Halsey. I can't pronounce her name.
Lovely ladies.
Yeah, I've got a couple new favorites, and I'm just like I drool over. Even as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, when Madonna was coming out, I was drooling over her.
Oh, Madonna. Oh, Madonna.
Yeah, she was one of my faves. I mean, of course, I saw her crawl across the stage like everybody else who's older. The kids today have no idea. But,
oh, my God. Yeah,
she was pretty rowdy back then.
Yeah,
she broke some barriers for sexuality.
When Gaga was coming out, there was like some pushback on Gaga because it's too much Madonna in that. And I was like, bro...
Right.
If you don't want some of that poker face, you've got problems.
Yeah, or that meat skirt.
The meat skirt. I was hoping.
Or the blood.
I was hoping
from paparazzi.
Yeah, but she was.
Have you seen her documentary?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the part about Madonna where she's like, "Why does Madonna gotta hate me?"
Yes.
Because Madonna wouldn't approach her. She would just go through the media and say all this nasty stuff, and she was like, "Well, I want her to push me up against a wall and make out with me like she did Britney and Christina. You know, why can't she just balls up and do that?"
I think it's hard. I think it's got to be really hard when you were like the thing, right? And then
let's be real. Lady Gaga could play circles around Madonna vocally and musically.
Yeah, I mean, she's a stronger musician.
She is.
And if you're insecure in any way, that's gonna really play on that because.
And Madonna's a Leo. You know how Leos are. Leos are the.
How are they?
I'm all into astrology and stuff. Leos, I mean, they're like the lion. They're the big to-dos, and you don't mess with them.
She doesn't want to be second fiddle. Yeah.
Correct. They don't ever play second fiddle. Yeah. But anyway.
Gaga's great.
How awesome is it that you got to go to the Grammys?
It was really fun. And when we were there, so after we won, we went backstage. We got some pictures. We're holding trophies. Things are amazing. We're talking to our family and friends. Yeah. And then there's this passageway underneath from the Microsoft Theater to the Staples Center where the evening telecast was going to be. So we were walking backstage, and when you're there at the live show, it's kind of an incredible technical feat because
I'm sure
it's not just, and you can see it on TV, like it's not just those artists who are doing their songs. It's like this whole set that they're breaking down the previous set and then bringing in the next one.
Yeah. So, I got a good question. Did you have to pay for drinks while you were there?
So
how does that work at the Grammys?
I'm a little salty about this.
I have a feeling I knew the answer.
Well, you're going to want to be drinking if you drink because it's freaking stressful. We waited for 2 hours until our category got read and we won. And we wanted to be drinking in that time to take the edge off, man.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that the drinks were going to be free. And they were leading up until the actual show.
Mm-hmm.
So you can come and go when you're in the audience, you know, and we wanted to go and have a drink,
Mm-hmm.
but they stopped serving drinks. So you had to be there before and have your drink, which we did, but then you can't drink anymore.
Yeah.
Which
What
was
about water?
lame.
They even hand out water? I mean,
Bro, we
something?
were drinking out of the water fountain. Man.
Okay.
And here's what...
It is L.A.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
LA.
where there's no water. You know, they're always in a drought season, it seems like.
So when you get to the Staples Center and it's the big television show, you know, it's a basketball arena.
Mm-hmm.
So like the places everybody is in line to eat in their fancy ass stuff is McDonald's. The line to get a Big Mac was a mile long.
America, y'all.
Oh my God. And
Yeah.
everybody's wearing, like, the average cost for the outfit in that line was probably like $500 at least.
Well, yeah.
And they're all
When
waiting.
I was out there, I went to Beverly Hills. Of course, this is my first time ever being in L.A.
Oh boy.
And I'm redneck country, you know, girl
Yeah.
from, you know, the hills of Kentucky. And I have my own car, and I go to Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, and I walk into this place that looked like they had really cool pants. And I look at the price tag, and it was $20,000 for a pair of jeans.
Bro.
And I went, what? And I walked right back out. But I did find...
Do they come with all-wheel drive?
No, but I did find this place called Iguanas, and it was at Hollywood and Vine, where all the stars are on the street, you know, where the Hollywood Walk of Fame is. And it was a thrift store. And man, some of those Beverly Hills people will get rid of their stuff and take them to the thrift store, and then you can buy them for like $15-20.
Yes.
But what I did not like about it, there's a lot of stuff I loved about LA, a lot of stuff I did not like, is that literally 5 minutes from Rodeo Drive, maybe 10 minutes, was what's it called?
Skid Row?
Skid Row, man.
And
For miles, it's homeless people.
Tent City.
Living in tents, living in shopping carts.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you live 5 minutes away from the most expensive place other than like San Francisco and New York.
Oh,
You know
there
what
it
I
is,
mean?
man. There's a slice of
If
American
every
life.
single person out there would donate just $100, you know, then they could take care of that homeless. And we have a major homeless issue here in Louisville too, you know.
Yeah. It's hard too because like sometimes you think, well, if people would just pony up and put down some money, but sometimes mental illness is a really big part of that too. And the
I agree.
resources for mental illness treatment, they're not as robust as they used to be.
Oh, yes.
And they need to be.
Yes, I'm a big proponent of the mental illness because I was diagnosed PTSD when I was really young, and a few other, you know, mental illness runs in the family. So I'm really big on trying to raise funds for that and homelessness, everything else.
It's sad that it seems like, I mean, to be honest, I don't watch the news much anymore.
Yeah, me either.
But when there's another awful shooting, the conversation around mental illness is really light and really short.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, there needs to be responsible gun laws, but we got to be honest about how we're dealing with mental illness in America. We got to be honest with ourselves about it because it's a really big problem.
Well, and I think we have to be honest about how, you know, not saying me and you, but how people treat other people out there. When you're treating people horrible and they're, you know, wanting to go kill themselves, I mean, that's not really, you know, the great human thing to do.
No, man. And that's
If somebody's reaching out to you, you need to help them.
Another great thing about music is that it unifies people across demographic range. The whole range is
absolutely
invited. You're all invited, and it keeps us more human. It keeps us from dehumanizing other people.
Yeah.
And that's important, man.
So the Grammys, was there anything else you wanted to talk about concerning that issue? Because, I mean, what an experience, man.
So you don't take
Once in a
a
lifetime.
trophy home with you. You go there
Interesting.
and you hold some, facsimile, some trophies that don't have plaques. And then you got to wait like 3 months. And then it finally comes in the mail. And I think you were there that day.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to tell you that story because talk about timing being perfect. In my life, it always is just like boom and then great timing. Sometimes, not always, but like 95% of the time, my life is pretty magical with timing. I was downstairs and I'd been waiting for weeks to see this Grammy because you told me that story. Well, they have to mail it to you, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a couple months later. So I come in and I go down to teach Jonah and I said, Jonah, that Grammy ever arrived? And he's like, nope, not yet. Literally, we get in there, I hadn't even started with his warm-ups, and you go, hey, y'all come upstairs. The Grammy just got here. And I was like, weird, man. I literally just asked about that like 2 seconds ago.
Oh, man.
And then I was there when you opened the box up. And
we pulled it out.
Pulled it out, put it in the kitchen.
Shiny.
And by the way, I'm holding it right now. It's very heavy.
Heavy and shiny.
Very heavy. Is this real gold?
I think.
Because, I mean, you can melt that down and make a bunch of money.
I think it's gold.
But yeah.
And then there's a when you win there's a plaque. A plaque on the front that has your name.
Yeah,
so you're looking
I'll read
at
it.
this.
It says National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, Garrett Sorenson, Principal Soloist, Best Opera Recording for 2018, Bates, The Re-Evolution of Steve Jobs.
I mean, and then those other names are they're my friends. Like, we became great friends doing this show.
Yeah, from the Santa Fe Opera Orchestra.
And we all met in LA to be at and just to be there with friends.
That's what I love about theater. You know, when I've traveled and done theater, the people I met in LA, they're calling in next week to talk on the show. I mean, they want to, you know. My bass player's on tour with Kesha, and and Janet Robbins always got something going on. I mean, she studied under Randy Rhoads, who toured with Ozzy Osbourne. So.
And it's, I mean, I don't know,
but you're
I'm
friends
older
for life.
than you.
You're friends for life with these people.
But yeah, and as you get older, you get more of these friends, and that's really special, I think.
Absolutely.
Like more and more friends who are important people in music, but more importantly than that, just like musicians who are great people that are your friends.
Just really cool. Yeah, and I've been really searching for those lately because I want to, because there's some dark times in music too.
Yes.
And like I said, I don't want to keep playing bars. I want to play events and bigger things, and you just always are searching for those positive role models in music to help. Because it takes people like that to uplift you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you uplift each other.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're always getting a little bit better. And I also think it's really important, like as an artist, like you do have to feed the inner artist, and you have to have different creative experiences.
Right.
This for me came at a time where I was feeling a little bit disillusioned about the state of opera.
Yeah.
I had been in some new opera projects that I thought, if we're really going to go in a new direction, this is too much like the old stuff to be successful for modern American audiences. But this show, The Revolution of Steve Jobs, this is really something new and different, and it got me excited about the future of opera in America too. Like it can go to different audiences, and it needs to.
Well, I feel like it's the same whether it's opera or it's music or whatever you're doing. I mean, I've also last year was just a bad year for most everybody I know.
Everybody's got to have those shitty years.
And I know you're not into astrology, but we were like every planet we had last year was in retrograde, which means you're redoing and revisiting and everything,
Dude, we had a lot of health problems in my family last year. Maybe it was the retrograde.
I had a lot of deaths. I had a band breakup. I had a lot of heartbreak. I had a lot of moves going on. I wasn't stable. It was just it was a hot mess last year. But I feel like you have to go through those because guess what is going to happen this year?
Yeah.
You win a Grammy,
Boom.
And I get a LRS radio show.
Yeah,
and,
you do.
And all these cool things start happening.
Jyn, I have to say, I didn't know that I knew about some of the stuff you're going through, but you went through a lot, man.
I did. I lost my best friend. Bev died right toward the end of that.
Well, and then there were all of the music rights shit that was around that.
Yeah, the music rights stuff, right. Yeah, that's all the legal mumbo jumbo that goes into that. I have nerve damage in my arm now. Because of, I mean, I went through a lot of like physical things as well as it just, yeah. Well, sometimes, again, but I was relating to your story. Sometimes you just get stale and you're like, oh gosh, what am I going to do now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, though, I have to tell you, LaVon Fisher Wilson, who your wife hooked me up with, who's a big Broadway star. We're about to do this big, huge gig together.
You are?
Yeah, in September it's coming. We've already officialized it.
That's
and everything.
Amazing. So LaVon is like a very, very
She's coming
successful.
On the show.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Her personality is almost as big as her voice.
I love her. Thank you for that.
Dude, she is an established, successful American music theater performer. Like, she's been in a bunch of shows on Broadway that you've heard of, like Newsies, like The Color Purple. Like, I don't know her whole list. It's big.
It's big. She's
big
from here. Star. Right, she's from Louisville, and she does the Queens of Funk and Soul.
And she is such a good singer.
And I just happen to have an all-female, awesome backing band that she needs.
Oh, yes.
Although we are going to pull in one guy. I got the guy who owned Guitar Emporium. Jimmy Brown's going to play bass.
Well, you
for
can
us.
call him the token.
He is the token. He doesn't know I'm going to ask him wear a wig yet. I'm totally joking.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even care anymore. Like for almost every job I've done, I've wear a wig and makeup and sometimes heels. I'm just over it.
Did you do Rocky Horror?
No.
It sounded like it.
It was all period pieces in the 16th century, man.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Well, I forgot about that. I saw a meme the other day that said something about if you're upset about men in heels and wigs, then you must have not been paying attention to our forefathers.
I know, right?
Because they were all in wigs and heels.
They were wearing those boots with heels, and let me tell
They
you.
had a party called the Wig Party. I mean, come on.
Those heels hurt.
I'm sure. Why do you think I don't wear them?
They don't do it.
I will never. I've worn heels twice in my life and fell over both times, I think.
I had to, okay. One of the first jobs that I did at the Metropolitan Opera, it was like a 16th century period piece thing, and I had to wear these heels. They were like probably 2-inch heels, so not even that big a deal
And
for a lady.
people don't know if they
I'm
don't
this
know
big
who you
guy.
are. You're a very tall guy.
And I
yes.
was thinner then than I am now, but God, I was only on stage for like, I want to say 20 minutes for that role.
Mm-hmm.
I had this little song I sang, and then I got killed off stage. But I would come off stage and I would take these stupid heels off, and like the tights I had to wear were completely freaking soaked through in sweat, and I had to like lay down and let my feet uncramp to walk in normal shoes.
You see what women go through on a daily?
It's not okay.
The ones that wear the Spanx, I mean, geez.
It's not okay. Well, I've worn my share of Spanx, man.
And they do that just so guys will gawk at them half the time.
Bro.
Trust me, I don't think they do it just because they like it. Well, some of them do, but...
Hey, side benefit of Spanx, though, a little bit of extra breath support, and I'm not joking.
Oh, because it probably holds you up. And
it's like a
holds
little bit
in
of
that
extra
diaphragm.
pressure around the sides.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, good to know, Garrett. Good to know. You know, you teaching me all kinds of groovy things today. So we've talked about you running Louisville voice lessons, you being an opera, you winning your Grammy. Is there anything that we've left out?
Well, we definitely need to mention my wife is producing Canto this summer in Louisville. It's the second summer for Canto in Louisville, and Canto is like a secondary professional opera singer preparation program for people that probably through with their undergraduate work. They might be doing like their secondary degree.
Yeah.
They might already have like some light professional credits, but they still need to do like whole roles.
Yeah.
And they need to work with the kind of people who can coach them up on those whole roles. And the people who run Canto are friends of ours from New York. And they've been doing Canto in places like Toulouse, France, and Zagreb, Croatia, like these beautiful places.
Wow.
And they approached Elizabeth and said, we need to do this in America. Would Louisville work? And they did it last year in Louisville, and they partnered with YPass and Trayton Oaks Towers.
Wow.
And
cool.
They had a really successful international opera training program here in Louisville right out of the box. So this year, University of Louisville is joining forces as well, and they're doing year
Killer,
2,
man.
and it's all going to be happening here in July. They'll be putting on a performance of Carmen here, and it's going to be really good like it was last year.
So that is super cool. So if people are out there listening, they want more information, do they go somewhere on the internet to find out?
Yeah, you can just like search for Canto, Canto.
Canto.
Yeah, if you Google Canto in Louisville, you'll find out all the information, and I think it's a very affordable or cheap performance.
I was like all the country people, it's Canto.
Canto,
because it's Canto.
Yeah, it's Italian.
Canto.
It's Italian for I'm singing.
Yeah.
I'm singing.
Oh, that's really cool. And he walked in, and we in the LRS studio, we have a sign up that says the voice is an instrument.
Yo.
And I done told you I'm going to take some vocal lessons to broaden my range.
I cannot wait to hear you sing some scales.
Well, I would love to sing some scales. I actually love to sing. I'm just not that great at it, but I can usually hit a harmony somewhere.
I feel like you need to sing some Gershwin.
Shoot. I just want you to train me so I can keep calling people out on my solo stuff.
Oh, yeah, nice.
You know, I did write the bougie track.
You are bougie.
And the gift of gold, y'all. I'm really not that bougie. I'm pretty low key and
You're
and
the
chill.
bougie.
I tend to date bougie, though. I don't know why. I'm trying to get away from that.
Is that an opposites attract thing? Because
it could be.
I don't
but I
believe
can't
in
keep
that.
up with bougie. Musicians can't keep up with bougie. Come on.
No.
I'd have to sell my drum set.
Faux bougie.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to be faux bougie. You have to fake it till you make it, which is until you're dead.
I agree. Well, we're going to spin some Heart. What do you think of Heart?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I love Heart.
I do, too.
Some of our kids in our studio are singing some Heart.
Really? I had no idea.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Well, we're going to rock out to some Crazy on You. Yes. I figured you'd love that since you're a vocal guy.
What a singer, man.
All right, it's Heart. You're locked in to Jyneration Nation, LRS102.com, The Walrus. Walrus, we are in the studio here with Garrett Sorenson. We're going to wrap it up for the day. It's Friday, y'all. And you're headed to Rough River, aren't you?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. What are you doing down at Rough River?
We're going to go join our friends Clint and Royce.
Groovy, man.
Just going to chill out in the lake.
I hear you.
Get some
I'm
relief
about to
from
go
the
do
heat.
the same.
Yeah, dude. It's hot.
Lake, yeah. Anyway, thank you for bringing in your Grammy today and letting me touch it and play with it and, look at it.
Man, this is the best way to get introduced to LRS ever.
It sure is.
I feel so lucky.
You're a rock star, man. That's why we had to have you on. Garrett, man, you do opera singing. You run Louisville voice lessons with your wife.
That's right.
LouisvilleVoiceLessons.com.
Yes.
What was the other one? Canto.
Canto.
I can't ever say
Or in
it.
Kentucky's Canto.
Canto. C-A-N-T-O.
Yeah, that's going to be happening, I think, annually every summer here now.
Yeah, and you guys are both involved in the Kentucky Opera, a lot of the opera stuff around, and you've traveled the world doing opera, which is super rad, man. So congrats. I couldn't think of anybody better to win a Grammy.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
And you're passing it off to your children, too. I mean, you're passing off the musicality.
Well, with your help, yeah. My kids are going to be great drummers thanks to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, they're great kids. It's a pleasure just to get to teach them. Yeah, you've got great kids. So, Garrett, thank you for coming in today. I hope you and family have the best 4th of July ever weekend.
Yes.
Everybody's celebrating this weekend. Don't shoot any bottle rockets at Elsa. You know what I'm saying? Stick with the little snaky snakes and the smoke bombs.
Yeah. We're doing low key.
Yeah, low key. I'm sure we're going to be hearing those all weekend, which I'm so excited about, if you can't tell my joy.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But y'all have a safe one. Stay super groovy, and tune back in on Monday. Next week, we have a whole lineup of awesomeness coming at you. Garrett, you have a great day.
Thank you, Jyn.
Thank you, man. I'm going to leave you with the Cars and some magic.